new sexual violence report was released today, and the USC community is concerned. We'll take you to the USC town hall held earlier today.
Rideshare drivers gathered in downtown LA to rally in support of increased wages. We spoke to one Uber driver to hear his story.
A new homeless shelter opened in Hollywood, becoming home to nearly 50 new residents. We spoke to the CEO to hear about the project.
Annenberg TV News is next.
Live from USC, you're watching Annenberg TV News.
Nobody comes thinking that they're going to be assaulted or harassed or raped. And the stories are heartbreaking, but they also make it real.
USC is one of 33 schools to participate in the new sexual violence survey. Good evening, I'm Jamia Pugh.
And I'm Robbie Aronson. The USC community received an email this morning regarding the results of a sexual assault survey. According to this survey, undergraduate women at USC reported a higher rate of sexual assault than the national average of the other American universities associated with it. The students contacted at 33 different schools. Of the nearly 18% of USC students who answered the survey, almost 2/3 of the responses came from women. Just over half of these undergraduate students surveyed said they had experienced some sort of sexually harassing behaviors, but more than 80% of them said they haven't filed a report. The prevalence of sexual assault at USC increased just over 1% since 2015. USC hosted 2 town hall meetings today about the survey results.
I really want to thank the students who shared their stories. I think it really reiterates what the data shows, which is that we have a lot of work to do on our campus if we're going to move forward.
Many students are concerned about sexual assaults on campus, and some say it's hard for victims to find help.
74% of people who hear someone disclose actually are an upstanding, friend, support system, and support that person and reach out and make sure that they're okay. That is an incredible statistic. That gives me so much hope, and it points to me the problem is not in the student body. The problem is beyond us. The problem is in the systems that we then have to grapple with just to be comfortable on this campus.
We've got trust problems that we've talked about at this university. We've got a sense from people that sometimes people don't hear them or they don't listen. We've had people talking about barriers to recovery. We've got to face those things head on, and we've got to come up with processes and procedures.
USC freshmen will now be required to attend an affirmative consent workshop. The school wants to make sure all students understand what it is and what is not acceptable behavior. Democrats debate for the 4th time today. There are fewer candidates on the stage, but just as many pressing issues. Reporter Evan Falstrup spoke earlier with political analyst Bob Shrum to find out what we should be looking for.
Joining me is political analyst Bob Shrum. Thank you for joining me.
I'm glad to be here.
And to start off, what should we all be really looking for in today's debate?
Well, I think there are a number of things. With the emergence of Elizabeth Warren, are people going to go after her? In particular, are they going to go after her health care plan? How is Joe Biden going to handle Ukraine and the issues that have been raised by impeachment? I think he probably ought to embrace them and ought to say, look, you can tell who the president doesn't want to run against because he's coming after me. 3, Pete Buttigieg has suddenly jumped in 2 different Iowa polls to 14% and 17%. Can he build on that? Finally, the other candidates off to the side, Kamala Harris maybe a little bit better off than most of them. What are they going to do to try to score in this debate so that they become more relevant to this contest, which is quickly shrinking to a 3 or 4 person contest? Finally, I think you also have to say Bernie Sanders, after the heart attack, everybody's going to be watching how he does in this debate.
Reporter Evan Falstrup now joins us live at a debate viewing party at the Wallace-Annenberg lobby. Evan, what's the latest?
Thanks, Jamia. I'm here standing at the USC debate viewing party, which has been going on here for about 30 minutes now. It's quite jam-packed, as you can see behind me, but the crowd has settled down quite a bit now because as we watch the candidates live. It seems like the main theme of this debate is how the candidates are going to execute universal health care. So, joining me now is Maya Tribbett. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much.
So, tell me, what are your thoughts so far in this debate?
So I'm an undecided voter at the moment, so I'm really looking forward to what these candidates will be like as president. So far, I've only seen them kind of defend their previous kind of controversies. So for the rest of the debate, I'm really going to hone in on what they can actually do for me as president, not just as a candidate. So,
Thank you very much.
thank you so much. Have a good one.
Okay. That's pretty much all we have for you so far. The debate will be running for another 2 hours. Tune in later, and I will fill you in on the latest. Back to you guys in the studio.
Rideshare drivers for companies like Uber and Lyft were outside City Hall this morning demanding higher pay. They say they should be at least earning minimum wage.
More and more people are doing this full time, right? People used to do this as a side hustle, but the companies have continued to slash rates to such a point that, maybe you could have done it for 20 hours 4 or 5 years ago. You're having to do 40, 50, 60 hours just to make ends meet.
The City Council approved a plan to look into the best way to help drivers get paid more. Drivers say they are grateful for this first step.
LA City Council, they're one of the forerunners on this. They heard our claims, they heard our protests, and they moved forward with this ordinance without very much push from us at all. And I want to thank LA City Council for moving forward on this so progressively.
In a statement to Annenberg Media, Lyft said, quote, Lyft supports providing drivers a guaranteed wage floor. We continue to hold discussions at the state level because we believe a statewide approach is the most appropriate. Just last year, 250,000 drivers completed nearly 9 million trips in Los Angeles. Cities like Almonte and New York have already passed policies that require companies to pay more.
Young homeless women and their children have a new place to call home. A newly renovated historic property called the Wallace House opened its doors today to LA's most vulnerable residents. The $2.3 million project is a partnership between the city and a local foundation, Aviva Family and Children's Services.
We knew we were going to make a big impact by getting women and children off the streets. And so if we could help them, especially if we can get the youth before something bad happens to them, then we can really change the trajectory of their whole lives.
Job training, life skills, and counseling will be available to these young mothers. Their ages range from 18 to 24. Most of them have been through the foster care system.
A lot of those youth grew up in foster care and emancipated, and many of them are now on the street. We look to give the youth skill building activities and hopefully to build skills like job preparation and career force development, workforce development.
The hope is that this Hollywood house provides a safe haven for them as they try to find work and a permanent place to call home. Felicity Huffman reported to serve her sentence this morning. We spoke to the prison to find out more about the facility.
And it's Los Angeles Fashion Week. We will take you to the LA Vegan Show. But also there's a horror movie exhibit at the U.S. School of Cinematic Arts. We spoke to the director to talk about the event. We'll be right back.
Encuentra el bosque más cercano en descubreelbosque.org. El bosque, más cerca de lo que crees.
They call me Prince like I'm royalty or something. But the places I've lived ain't no palaces. So I don't need grilled salmon or a new scratching post. Just give me a cardboard box and a can of tuna and we're good. You can even change my name. I'm cool being the kitty formerly known as Prince.
Here's to the things that can keep us safe. And now, those that we carry with us everywhere will bring us wireless emergency alerts. With the unique sound and vibration, you'll be in the know, wherever you are.
Hey, Kevin, you thinking about retirement?
I'd love to, but I'm pretty busy with all this.
Yeah. Hey, let's meet our retirement coach, Avo. A is for taking action.
Not anxiety?
No, Kevin, you're gonna be fine.
You sing?
Barely. V is for variety.
And you dance?
Sort of. Come on. O is for optimize your savings.
Let Avo lead the way.
Visit aceyourretirement.org today.
Nice.
Thanks.
Actress Felicity Huffman began her 14-day prison sentence this morning. This comes after she pled guilty to paying $15,000 to have her daughter's college entrance exam scores changed. Huffman is one of 3 parents sentenced in connection to the college admissions scandal, and she is the first to begin serving her time. She will be spending her 2-week sentence at a federal correctional institution in Northern California.
We have a female low facility, and we have a female minimum security camp. It means that they're deemed on their designation of what the security requirements are needed for the inmates, which are all female, being held here.
The Federal Correction Institute of Dublin, California, allows security prison with an adjacent minimum security satellite camp. It holds a total of 1,227 female offenders. Just over 1,000 are in the prison and 175 are in the camp.
Undocumented students will be getting more help navigating their state's higher education system. A new California law continues the state's efforts to counter the harsh immigration policies of the federal government.
California can regulate who has access to education. If they want to fund certain students, that is totally the state's priority, and the federal government can't stop them from doing that.
So-called dreamers seeking graduate degrees from UC and California state schools will be eligible for loans and in-state tuition. Public colleges and universities will be designating a Dreamer Resource Liaison on campus.
I would consider education a little bit of a human right because you cannot really go anywhere without education. So I like how the government so far, all governments have put it as an extra, but at the end of the day, if you really want to have a decent life, you will have to hold a degree.
Undocumented immigrants will also be eligible to serve on government boards and commissions. Governor Gavin Newsom says, quote, California is working to ensure that every resident, regardless of immigration status, is given respect and the opportunity to contribute. It's Vegan Fashion Week, and Annenberg's Media Tanvi Varma takes us to the world of cruelty-free fashion.
Organizers say this is the first vegan fashion trade show in the world. The theme is fashion is activism, and everything here is made without animal products.
In LA, it tends to be a very healthy and very sustainable kind of mecca. So we're trying to make the Los Angeles kind of the hub for that mantra.
These shirts are not only vegan, which means no animals were harmed in the process of them, but they're also sustainable, which means they have no chemicals that are biodegradable or that could harm the environment.
A lot of people don't think about, like, my shoes could be vegan, but the glue that's made to put the shoe together itself is not vegan. That's made out of an animal product.
Casey Cohn used to work for a fast fashion company which sold cheap clothes for short-lived trends.
And kind of just was disgusted by some of the things that I was seeing and the waste that we were producing as a company, and started passionately looking into sustainable brands.
Cohn says people don't understand how the fashion industry is linked to global warming.
What people don't really talk about is the amount of waste, and our founder, her favorite fact is that the leather tanning industry is the second most polluting industry in our country, so that's more than planes and cars combined.
People seem to agree. California recently banned the sale of new fur products, and Google Trends shows vegan fashion searches have gone up significantly in the last 5 years.
And found that there was no other way for me to live my life ethically than to be vegan.
The trade show wraps up today with a vegan clothing swap. For Annenberg Media, I'm Tanvi Verma.
Politicians and activists are fighting efforts by companies like Airbnb to delay the enforcement of tough new restrictions on short-term rentals.
I had a neighbor come talk to me telling me that next month we'll be able to start reporting illegal Airbnbs in the neighborhood. So people are aware that these regulations were passed and they're ready to for themselves to enforce them. Why are we stopping that?
Hosts will have to register and pay an $89 fee, and they can only rent their homes for 120 days a year. Some residents say they will create a real financial hardship.
This shift has been devastating to me and my financial situation. Once this goes into effect after November 1st, I mean, I need to figure out how to let go of my place because I'm not going to be able to afford to keep it.
Bloomberg Media contacted Airbnb, and we were directed to previously published comments. They said that the city has, quote, failed to provide adequate information to hosts about how to follow the new rules.
It's spooky season in the Cinema School's Hugh Hefner exhibit hall. The new show, 10 Years of Blumhouse, displays horrific props, costumes, and more. Blumhouse is a production company known for its low-budget, high-profit horror films. Items from their first notable work, Paranormal Activity, their latest hit, Us, will be on display. Curator Alex Ago had the idea for the show after meeting Jason Blum when he audited a class this last fall.
I happen to be a really big fan of Blumhouse. I wanted to do something that would celebrate the creative and artistic achievements, also have a chance to understand why they're such a successful company. It's a really useful lesson, I think, for our students to learn right now.
Ago says the three key pieces to see are the teacup from Get Out, masks from Purge, and masks from Halloween. The exhibit is up until December 8th. With ball break coming up, you'd expect sweater weather coming around, won't you?
I'm hoping that sweater weather is on the rise because I can't wait to get warm.
Let's toss it to Trevor to see what's up with weather.
That's right, guys. Sweater weather should be coming around the corner, but not yet. It's getting warm outside. Let's take a look right now. 88 degrees. I felt it today. I'm sure you guys did too. Very, very warm. Let's take a look at tomorrow's weather. First, let's head to the mountains. Big Bear is going to be warmer than usual, 69 degrees. Palm Springs, always warm, 95. San Bernardino, 90 and 90 in the Inland Empire. Now, as we move a little bit on up the coast, as you can see right here, Northridge, 90 degrees. San Fernando, 87. That high pressure system coming in, really keeping it warm. 87 Thousand Oaks, 76 Malibu. Now, let's move it back on into the USC area. We can tell what's going to happen tomorrow. As you can see right here, Pasadena 89, USC 85, Long Beach 79. Now let's go into the 5-day forecast. Like I said, we have that high pressure system that's going to be giving away a little bit. 85 tomorrow, 75 Thursday, 78 Friday. Then we get warmer as we head into the weekend, 79, 84. We'll have some winds moving into the weekend, which will feel nice, but like I said, still a little bit warmer. Now, 2 earthquakes shook Northern California this weekend. Both were within the past 24 hours. The first, a 4.5 in Walnut Creek last night, was felt all the way to San Jose, right over here. Walnut Creek right there. The second was a 4.7 and hit the Hollister area right over there. Shaking was felt as far as San Luis Obispo. Now, the 2 quakes aren't connected, but the Hollister quake is at the creeping section. So you can see the San Andreas Fault is kind of right there. It's at the creeping section right there, which means it's had smaller tremors before, but doesn't stress as much as the other sections. As for the aftershocks, the USGS said there isn't much chance for large ones, but of course, stay prepared no matter what. So even if you didn't feel the quakes today, still a good reminder to always be ready. Jamia, back to you.
Thanks, Trevor. Many USC professors are looking at the impact of climate change by the year 2050. Some of the worst effects could be felt first in the ocean.
What we may end up doing is seeing much larger toxic blooms of algae off of California due to the effects of climate change. In recent years, the crab fishermen along Northern California have had their season closed completely because of these toxic blooms.
These changes have cascading effects up the food chain as fish and then humans consume these toxins. And that's just one effect. Climate reporter Samini Sengupta spoke to students about the significance of 2050.
We face a future where the average global temperature will rise to such a level that it's highly likely that that could have catastrophic impacts.
Warmer oceans and toxic algae blooms are just a small fraction of the total effects. Sengupta says relief from some of the worst could come from smart policy and changes by big businesses.
In other news, guys, we're back here home for our game coming up this weekend.
79 degrees on Saturday sounds like the perfect temperature to beat Arizona.
What's going on with sports?
All right, so coming up in sports, the NBA is under fire as the China controversy thickens. Plus, they're the Lions, and we're going to hear them roar after 2 official calls cost them the game yesterday. And we're breaking down the Chargers and the Rams seasons. See what they need to do to get back to being a Super Bowl contender.
Hi, I'm Smokey Cole Bear, filling in because for 75 years, Smokey only said,
"Only you can prevent wildfires."
Meanwhile, the song was wrong. We did start the fire. Go to smokeybear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention.
1 in 3 adults has pre-diabetes. That means it could be you, your favorite brother, your other brother, you, your football buddy, your football buddy, you, your plumber,
Breathe right into your foot.
your plumber's masseuse,
Yes.
you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. With early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Hey, let's check out this park. Oh, wow, that's really cool. To find a great local park or forest near you, go to discovertheforest.org.
Roll over. Chance high five. All right. When you adopt a shelter pet, you discover all the things that make them unique. And your mother and... I am totally a hat person. Right, guys? Thanks for being honest. They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love. Adopt pure love at theshelterpetproject.org.
Is LeBron bowing to Beijing? In his first time talking to the media since Daryl Morey's controversial tweet on October 4th, James suggested that free speech can have negative consequences, saying, quote, "Yes, we do all have freedom of speech, but at times there are ramifications for the negative that can happen when you're not thinking about others, when you only think about yourself." Well, the ramifications of his words were not pretty either. Today, Hong Kong protesters gathered on courts and burned his jersey. The whole controversy leaves many divided on their opinion of the LA superstar. And Detroit fans were led on again last night, losing by 1 to Green Bay. Sam Arslanian, his heart is so numb. The Lions have lost each game by an average of 3 points this season. But last night, Detroit's real opponent was the officials. In the fourth, Detroit defensive end Trey Flowers was called for 2 questionable hands-in-the-face penalties. The first came on a 3rd and 10, giving Green Bay a first down, leading to a touchdown. And the second gave the Packers a first down and enough time to bleed the clock and kick the game-winning field goal. Fans, officials, and league sources are calling both flags bogus, saying Flowers' hands were only on Bakhtiari's shoulder pads. And former Lion Barry Sanders is outraged, tweeting, quote, "I know no one on the Lions can say it, so I will. That is a terrible miscall, on hands to the face and a bad break for our D that is playing so hard. The Lions can't seem to catch a break, and much like the Rams, they need to regroup." So Jordan, what's going on with the Rams?
The Rams fell to 3-3 on Sunday, losing 20-7 at home to division rival San Francisco 49ers. It was the first time the Rams have lost 3 straight games under head coach Sean McVay. The 49ers limited the Rams to just 157 total yards, including 0 for 9 on 3rd down. Quarterback Jared Goff easily had the worst game of his career, throwing for only 78 yards despite playing the entire game. Regarding the loss, Goff said, quote, "It goes back to the consistency I've always talked about. It's something that we are struggling with right now offensively. I think we're practicing hard. I think we're playing hard. I think it just comes down to in-game execution." The Rams will look to get back above 500 on Sunday when they take on the 1-5 Atlanta Falcons on the road with a new face, as they reportedly just acquired All-Pro cornerback Jalen Ramsey from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Staying in LA, the Chargers dropped another home game, this time the Pittsburgh Steelers 24-17, bringing their record to 2-4 and 1-3 at home. But the big story coming from the game was the number of Steelers fans versus Chargers fans in the stadium, a common issue the Chargers have faced since moving to Los Angeles. They even played the song Renegade by Styx over the PA system, which is a staple at Heinz Field in Pittsburgh. Several Chargers players were upset by the mistake. Offensive lineman Forrest Lamp said, quote, "We're used to not having any fans here. It does suck, though, when they're playing their music in the fourth quarter. We're the ones at home." The Chargers now turn their attention to the Tennessee Titans in an important road test to avoid losing their 3rd consecutive game for the first time since 2017. So, Lauren, these are 2 teams that we thought we were going to be, Super Bowl contenders, but they're looking a little shaky now. So, out of these 2 teams, which one is going to be in the Super Bowl, or at least closer to the Super Bowl?
Jordan, I have to stick with the Rams. They had a Super Bowl run last year, and I don't see, their momentum dropping anytime soon. They just signed Jalen Ramsey, great addition at cornerback. So, I think they're going to, keep it up, or not keep it up, but, really kick their momentum into this part of the season, and I think they're going to take it home.
I'm going to have to go with the Chargers in the AFC, a much easier conference, but we'll see what happens. That's all we have for sports. Robbie, back to you at the desk.
Thanks, guys. Coming after the break, we're going to go back to the Democratic debate, and we'll see our reporter with an update.
Meet the scan, a simple procedure whose mission is to detect lung cancer early.
I'm here to save you.
But I feel fine.
That's great, but you may still be at high risk for lung cancer.
Oh man, that's a new fence.
If you smoke, early detection could save your life. Learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Being prepared is a part of who you are. But it's especially important in the case of a disaster. Be informed about possible emergencies in your area. Make a plan that covers where you'll go in an emergency. Build a kit with the things you need to survive. There's no one more capable of planning for your situation than you. Start your plan today. Go to ready.gov/myplan.
When you adopt a shelter pet, you discover their unique mix of all kinds of traits.
Where'd Wiley go? Where's Wiley? Ah, there she is. Paw?
Do you remember being an ancient wolf? Do you ever feel the call of the wild?
You're a renegade cop, and I'm a con woman with nothing to prove. But together, we could really solve this murder.
They're a little bit of a lot of things. But all of them are pure love.
The fourth Democratic debate is still running, and reporter Evan Falstrup joins us again on the latest. What's the latest, Evan?
Welcome back to the debate. As you can see, the crowd is still running strong here. Everyone is still sitting intently watching the candidates live as they continue to debate some key topics, such as how they will pay for universal basic income, women's reproductive rights. Cory Booker had a key moment where he said this is 2016 all over again, where the media is giving a platform to Trump. We need to be attacking Trump's inflammatory claims, and Biden agrees, defending his son, saying the debate should be about Trump. So that's all we have for you now. Back to you guys in the studio.
TV fans are gearing up for the 8th and final season of Arrow. The popular superhero drama returns tonight at 9 p.m. But star Stephen Amell says this may not mean the Green Arrow is gone forever.
I'm not going to put myself in a position where I say that I'm never going to come back, right? 4 years from now, if they call me up and they're like, hey, we need something, what am I going to say? Nah, so I want to keep that window open.
The CW series that started the DC TV lineup will conclude with 10 episodes. No word yet on what surprises the episode could have in store as the series comes to a close.
We were talking about Crisis on the one hand, and then we were talking about the end of Arrow on the other. And they were two separate conversations. And then just by virtue of the time in which they were taking place, we started to realize those two conversations are related to each other.
The crossover episode for Arrow is scheduled to air in January. No word yet on what surprises the episode could have in store as the series comes to a close. So tell me, guys, on the topic of superheroes, if you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Flight. I'll take flight.
Flight? It's tough. Maybe I'd be invisible. I think that'd be really cool.
I was about to say transparent, which is the same thing, invisible.
I'd like to teleport. Wouldn't you like to go from bed to class in the morning?
Hey, that's a good one.